Hey, welcome back to your what is this? Our fourth consecutive victory
Yes, it
podcast.
is.
No, it's not. No, it's not. We lost to the Vikings. I'm sorry. Welcome back to the Commanders Declassified Podcast, home of your 6-5 Washington Commanders. They are back in business. They are above 500, and it is November. Turkey is coming. It's coming soon, but it is not here yet. I want to say what's up to Brian. What's going on, man?
Not too much. Just enjoying this Commanders victory, man. Excellent day. It's always a good thing when you're not stressing about what could have been mistakes, this, that, and the other. Today was a win.
Yeah, I would call it a commanding victory, if you will. You
Ah,
see what I did there?
I see what you did there.
Yeah, let's give a shout out to our co-host Eric. He couldn't be with us today.
He,
He is currently in Quebec right now. He has a Danish sampling convention that he's at, and he said that he's going to hit us up on the way home. But he's neck deep in cheese and dates right now. So shout out to Eric.
we'll see you soon.
All right, so the Washington Commanders just got off the field from beating the Houston Texans 23-10. Brian, give me your quick synopsis of the win.
This was a simple meat and potatoes game, right? You're playing an opponent who seems overmatched. You don't overthink it. You go in there, you stomp all over them, you dominate them, and you get out of there. And that's what we did. We had a very simple game plan. We ran the football. We limited throws by Taylor Heineke, and we let our defense, who has been on fire these last couple of weeks, continue to get after the quarterback and do what they do and put pressure on that opposing offense. And that's what we saw today. The running game worked. Taylor made a few passes, but we didn't ask a lot of him. But the defense came up big. The Texans, while devoid of a lot of talent, they do have a couple of guys, and including one, their running back, rookie running back, Damian Pierce, who's really excellent. He's really a good player. He barely had any yards in this game. They shut him down completely. And what do you know? Another Derek Forrest interception today. Just a really good performance by the defense, solid performance by the offense, but really overall good team win.
Yeah, Derek Forrest plays, Derek Forrest turns the ball over. It's
Yeah,
that simple.
that's
It's
it.
that simple. And I want to come back to what you said about Pierce in a minute because I think there's some additional points there.
Yeah.
Um, Are there things that you come out of this victory saying, I wish we'd have done this or that based on the opponent?
Yeah, you would have liked to have seen the offense put more points up, right? You would have liked to seen the offense because that Texans defense isn't very good. Obviously, they prepared for the run for us, right? They all saw on Monday night what we did to the Eagles, so that was what they were preparing for. You would have liked to have seen Scott Turner take advantage of an ailing Texans defense who their top round rookie Derek Stingley Jr. didn't play today. You would have liked to seen them dial up maybe a couple of deep shots or whoever that corner was that was filling in for him to test them a little bit more, but we didn't. But hey, we did put up points. We did get out to a comfortable lead, and we were able to win. So that's probably the only thing that I think there was. Hey, this could have been better. Is that we could have put up some more points because guess what? In the coming weeks, we are going to play defenses that are a little bit better, and we're going to need to score points.
Yeah, my only thing would be Heineke is starting to form a pattern of taking hits and pretty
Oh, yeah.
big hits over the last several weeks. I think it started in the Minnesota game. And I am just seeing him getting drilled week after week after week. And this week he stayed down for a second before he was helped up by his teammates. Taylor has been given the starting job until he screws it up.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose that due to injury, right? Um, so if he wants to remain in that position, he's got to keep himself away from those hits. And sometimes he's extending plays that can't be extended and he's getting popped. But let's get back to this W. I want to jump into the stats because I think the stats actually do tell the story in this game, which may not always be the case. But as I pull these up, Brian, tell me what your favorite part of the game was.
The favorite part of the game was watching this defense, right? During the course of the week, we got the news that Bobby McCain will be permanently moved down to nickel corner, something that we've been talking about on this podcast for a very long time. I think my very first words on this podcast was Bobby McCain is not a free safety.
Yeah.
And wow, what a difference that makes. Any kind of deep shot, guess who was near the football? It was Derek Forrest. And we saw again, late in the game, he's near the football. And what happens? There's another turnover. So good to see that. And to McCain's credit, he's doing well in the slot. Like he's doing very well. He's coming up and tackling on some of those shorter passes and some of those runs. So he's performing well there too. But I mean, this defensive line has just been awesome to watch. Obviously, Allen, Payne, Sweat, those guys are, the headliners. They're always going to play good. But the backups, Ridgeway, Obata, Toohill, those guys are also playing well. So excellent job by that defensive line.
Yeah, I got to tell you, man, that pick by Fuller and the return was absolutely great to see. It feels like we just go eternities between those for our team. And to see us get one today, it was like on the first series by the Texans too, wasn't it?
Yep.
Like just right out the gate, put your foot down, make it happen. Love to see that. Davis Mills just telegraphed it like he was sending him a Valentine's Day present. It was crazy. It was outstanding by the defense. Statistically for the defense, I thought that Cam Curl is good as always. Yeah. Jamin Davis with the green dot. I don't think we've missed a beat. In fact, we may be better since he put that green dot on than we have been all season long. Love to see that. Kendall Fuller was good. Forrest was always around the ball, but making plays when they count or when they matter. Allen is just a beast. He's picking up linemen and walking them back to the quarterback.
He's having an all-pro season, and there's no question about it. If he doesn't make it, it's a travesty because he's having his way just with about every guard that he plays against.
Absolutely, and the list doesn't stop there. Montez Sweat had a couple of sacks today. Yeah, he was terrific. Deron Payne, another game, another sack. That man and Allen both feed off of each other so well. And for those of you that don't know, because we don't always put everything that we talk about in our group chat onto a podcast, Brian and I argue about who's better, Allen or Payne all the time.
Yes,
but the fact of the matter is, yeah,
Allen's having a good season, but Payne is also having an amazing season. I think this is his highest sack total that he's had. He has just come out on fire this year, and it shows no signs of slowing down at all.
Yeah, they are both just absolutely outstanding. And when you can argue about how good two players are, you're in a good position versus arguing over who's worse. That's the positive that we have on our defensive line. I am absolutely thrilled with what we saw there. Toohill, I thought was very effective today. He was outstanding. Ridgeway. Let's talk about Ridgeway, and then we'll jump over to the offense.
Well, okay? I got one thing first. Is you had a really good tweet during the game. You wanted to shout out the defensive line coach Jeff Zakina and the work he's done. I mean, at the beginning of the season when they made that switch, we were all like, it's too late. It should have happened a while ago. But this defensive line has come along. And then in particular, Ridgeway, a late addition to the team, F.A. Obata just joined in the offseason. Those guys have played well. Ridgeway's a little bit of a wild man. He's got some unforced errors here, these penalties that if given a different circumstance could be really killers for the team. But I mean, he is aggressive. He's a high intensity guy. He plays hard. And we saw him on that suplex today.
Yeah. And look, as a fan, you like the raw aggression, but when you're a team that's trying to compete, you can't have that kind of stuff, right? You need discipline. If we were 3-7 or something like that, 3-8, you'd be like, oh yeah, somebody's showing some fire. But when you're fighting to be 6-5, it's like, no, we got to make intelligent plays to keep us in position to be successful. You don't want those referees looking at your team as a undisciplined, overly physical team, because they'll start throwing flags on you for things that aren't penalties later in the season. So you can't do that. He is an aggressive player. He reminds me a lot of some of the guys we've had previously that just need to tame it down, tame it a little bit. But I thought he was
a former wrestler at the University of Arkansas. So that is something that probably came a little natural to him, picking somebody up and kind of slamming them down. So yeah, he's got to take that intensity down just a little bit and be a little bit smarter and ratchet up kind of that football IQ and be a little bit more cognizant of what he's doing out there. But when someone's playing that hard, I can't fault him too much, but yeah, you're right. That could cost us later on. He's got to do something better about that.
I can promise you they aren't doing power bombs at the University of Arkansas Wrestling School, though. Um, However, he has it. All right, so let's jump into the offense because I think this is a very interesting game for the offense. I'm going to close down for those of you listening. I have the stats up as we do every week for both teams. Now I'm going to close that down. I'm going to pull up the Commanders stats, and we're going to start with the quarterback position here. Um, Taylor Heineke, 15 of 27, 191 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. He did have two very, very
Mm.
near picks.
Oh yeah.
Somebody tweeted out that he must lead the league in almost interceptions, and that is absolutely true. What did you think of Heineke's performance overall today?
It was ordinary. Yeah, like you said, Heineke is who he is. He is a backup who is going to take chances, and he sometimes those chances will pay off, but sometimes they won't. And that what first deep shot to Terry, I think Terry stumbled or maybe he gave up on the route, and the ball literally landed into the safety's hands. Somehow the safety drops it. Those are the types of plays that we're going to have to live with Heineke. He's got to be better about that. Obviously, do you want to give Terry McLaurin a chance? Yeah, he's an awesome receiver, but you've got to be smarter about that. And if you miss, then you better miss long, and then no one gets it. But he after that, I think he settled down a little bit, and he just made what was in front of him. Again, they tried to take a lot off him, let the running game do its thing and kind of carry the day and let the defense dominate. And that's what you see there, 15 of 27, 191 yards. You'd like to see some more completions out of them. There's, I think, some stuff underneath that he could have completed. He's got to get better at that instead of kind of looking for that home run to make that big play. Because I still think he's a backup, right? So he's always trying to prove, hey, I belong and, make a splash play. When you're the starter now, make the safe play, make the smart play. I think he's got to get more in that mindset. And hopefully he can do that next week.
Yeah, I think he was good enough
Yeah.
for a team
Yeah.
like this. So give him credit for the win. I think he's leveling out a little bit. Over the last couple of
Yeah.
weeks, he's really starting to level out. Um, Meaning that you don't have those dramatic highs and lows as much as you do early on in the Taylor Heineke experience, but the highs aren't as high anymore either,
Yeah.
right? So you got and that's okay as long as your defense and your running game is what it has been, and it has been that. So I think for now we're good. Let's see how this thing materializes going forward. But
Yep.
his play wasn't exciting today, but I don't think it needed to be given the opponent that was
No.
on hand today, right? We'll get into the Houston Texans offense in a minute, but you saw very early on that this wasn't going to be a fight. So
Exactly.
the running game, interesting scenario here. I think Antonio Gibson had 18 carries, 72 yards, 4.0. He could have had more. He didn't score on that touchdown at the end of the game where
Yeah.
he slid down. Smart
Smart
play,
play,
keep
though.
the
Yeah.
clock going.
Very
Yeah,
smart.
yeah, yeah. You know what? I debate that sometimes because, if you go up 30-10, that game's over anyway. Get your stats. But I get the point. Like, if this was a one-score game, I'd be like, yeah, smart play, take the knee, run the clock. It wasn't. Go get in the end zone, bro. You earned it. Brian Robinson Jr., 15, 57, 3.8. Another game, Brian Robinson Jr. is at 3.8 yards or 3.5 yards a carry. Curtis Samuel, 2 for 18, 9 yards, and he had a lone rushing touchdown. They're using Samuel correctly in the run game, I think. Just spot carries, let him make something happen. I like that. Robinson Jr., I thought today, he had some decent runs like today, like the long of 14. He had a couple longer runs for him that he's had this season. I thought his short runs weren't as good as they were last week. Like last week, he had some really good, really short runs. But again, look who you're facing. You don't necessarily need to bring your A game. I thought Gibson was really effective. He looked explosive every time, he was out there being the pass game or the run game. What I will say is this, though. I think that Brian Robinson is, I never like to say a player's close because you just don't know, but it looks like he's just either just missing some big runs or is not reading things properly through at the second level to get the big runs. Hopefully that is something that comes as he gets a few more touches because he seems like more of those opportunities are coming as time goes on. So I think there's opportunity for him to improve on that 3.8. Gibson, I thought what do you think about the usage between the two? Because it felt like there was a long period we didn't see Robinson Jr. at all.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like they were like, you know what, we gave Robinson 26 carries last game.
Yeah.
Now we're going to lean on Gibson this game. So it definitely seemed like that. And if that's kind of their thought process, then fine. So be it. But if they're supposed to be in some type of rotation, then Scott Turner needs to get better at doing that. But I think that was probably the mindset going in. Hey, we're playing the Texans. We don't necessarily need to give one guy 26 carries. Let's lighten the load up on him, give a little bit more to Gibson. I think Gibson did look explosive. He looked really good, but I think his best usage. I mean, we saw him catch a couple of passes, and then boom, he's up the field quick. And there were a couple of passes where there was just nobody around him, and I'm like, well, keep doing that, keep throwing it
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah.
And we, of course, in Scott Turner fashion, we went away from that. So please utilize him more in the passing game, because I think he could very easily get 70 yards rushing, but he could also easily have 70 yards receiving and another 2 touchdowns. And that changes what your offense looks like completely if that happens. So I want to see some more catches from him, because teams, for whatever reason, don't seem to be covering him when he goes out for a pass. And I think there was one play, he was matched up on a linebacker. And I think if Heineke would have thrown it to him, I think it would have been a 40, 50-yard touchdown,
Yeah.
because I don't think that linebacker could stay with Gibson. So use him more in the pass game. He's got a lot of talent to utilize. But I thought the running game did what it was supposed to do. We ran it, we leaned on it, and we got those yards. But one thing I will say is we got to be better at kind of mixing up our run game, using different formations. I mean, as bad as the Texans defense is, they knew sometimes we were running the football. I mean,
Yeah.
you could see all their linebackers standing in the gap waiting, and that just can't happen, especially as we play some of these better teams. We've got to get a little bit more diverse on there. But overall, I thought the guys did pretty good running the football.
Yeah, the plays to the receivers, not including Samuel, because his was effectively a carry since he was at the line of scrimmage when he received the ball.
Yeah.
The reverses that we ran with Dotson and McLaurin were not effective. I didn't love those calls. 40 carries, though, is still really good.
Yes.
I think 40 carries in a game against the Texans when you're winning by what we were winning by for the majority of the game should have been closer to 55 carries, if you ask me. Just keep pounding the rock, establish your dominance, keep grinding. I just didn't see a need to put the ball in the air much today because they just weren't good. But you saw on the first drive of the game what happened. One run to Robinson, it got a couple yards, and then two straight passes. And one of them almost got picked off. It was like, oh, Scott's trying to get his bag again.
Yep.
And then, it was like, okay, no, we need to run the ball. So, but no, our running backs were good today. They were good. I think, there is opportunity for them to be great, but they were good today, and I thought they were effective. There's still more that they could get there, though, but that's a positive for us.
Absolutely.
In the receiving game, this is a different look now. So Logan Thomas had 5 catches, 65 yards. He was our second most targeted receiver, but had the most receptions and the most yardage today. Terry McLaurin, 4 catches, 55 yards on 7 targets. Gibson, 3 for 31 on 3 targets. Samuels, Dotson, and Sims all just had a catch. Weren't huge factors in the passing game. What do you think about our receivers today?
I thought they did a solid job. I think we could have done more with our passing game. I think you mentioned a couple of podcasts ago. I think this may have been coming off Wentz last start. Where are the crossing routes? Where are the slants? Where are the drags? Where are the rub routes, pick routes in this offense? And we've started to see more of them these last couple of weeks. But whenever we get, whether it's Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin on some type of crossing route, it's almost an automatic catch. Because what happens is you put that defender at a bad angle. He's now having to chase a receiver running away from him, and it just makes it a little bit easier of a throw for Taylor Heineke. And we've got fast receivers. We got to utilize them more. So it'd be great if Scott Turner would do that more, because I think that could lead to more explosive plays in the pass game. But I thought it was great to see Logan Thomas back today. Ellie, I think the last couple of podcasts, I think every time you say, "Where is Logan Thomas?" Well,
Yeah.
we found him today, and it looks like he's feeling better, recovering from some of the injuries that he has. The hands are still there. He made some kind of tough catches, contested catches, and we saw a couple of times he was able to get some nice yards after catch. So that was excellent to see him back in the fold because we need a presence there at the tight end spot. It can't just be all on Terry, or it can't just be all on Curtis. We've got to have another big kind of target to kind of bail Heineke out in some situations. And he came in, pretty big for us today.
Yeah, it's kind of funny as I'm listening to you talk and I'm sitting here looking at this. I'm like, we have Logan Thomas, who's been a pretty agile tight end, pretty effective in the pass game, good receiver. We have Antonio Gibson, who could be used anywhere. We have
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin, who's an all-world receiver. Whether he gets that respect or not, he is. We have Jahan Dotson, who's a very dynamic rookie. Curtis Samuel, and it's like, but we put up 23 points with a defensive touchdown. And as you were talking, I'm like, man, there should be more here
Exactly.
in terms of points. And I think that's, going back several weeks. Like I know last week against Philadelphia, we got in the 30s, but again, a defensive touchdown or two last week. Look, it's a victory. So I want everybody to feel good about it. I want to feel good about it. But I think that there's some homework to be done by this coaching staff on how we can get more out of these weapons. We
Yep.
have weapons. We really, really do. For the first time in a long time, we have genuine weapons. We are three deep at the receiver position, and you still have Diami, who we barely scratched the surface with over in the deep game. We have Antonio Gibson, who I think is one of our best weapons all around on the team, and we have Robinson, who look, I will argue with you all day that Robinson shouldn't be the starter because I don't think he's explosive. Um, but I think he's better than the 3.8 that I think he's been limited to in this offense because I think the lack of explosiveness everywhere else in the offense creates less opportunity for Robinson to do what he's done. Um, Scott Turner's got to figure that out. I really
Yeah.
think that, and you can't always we've been good at beating teams 20 something to less than 20 something, right?
Yeah.
Because our defense has just been outstanding. But man, give our defense a break, every
Exactly.
now and then, and really just put up points on teams.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's year three, right? We've got to take the training wheels off and stop with the excuses for Scott Turner. Hey, we played a lesser opponent today, then we should have been able to score 35, 40 points, no
Yeah.
question. There's no reason that couldn't have happened today, especially with some of the weapons we have. Whether or not Taylor Heineke's the quarterback or Carson Wentz, that shouldn't have mattered. We should have been able to put points up on this team. So yeah, it is concerning that we're still kind of struggling, and we do have some of the weapons that we have. So yeah, we really need Scott Turner to kind of give up the idea of, hey, I'm going to drop back 40 times. Figure out your strengths and your weaknesses, and really kind of just dig in and find some of these plays that our guys run better, and stick with those instead of trying to kind of force them to do something else. So hopefully against the Falcons next week, Scott Turner can take advantage of some of those strengths that our players have.
And be clear, like scoring more points doesn't mean throwing the ball more. It means
No.
designing better run games to get bigger gains in the run offense, right? Or
Yep.
just better situational play calling that creates better opportunities. Staying on the field, right, and not leaving on the field in third and short, and things of that nature. There's a lot that could be done without saying, "Hey, I want Taylor to throw the ball 52 times a game." That's not what I'm getting at whatsoever at all. Let's talk about the Texans performance and sort of what that meant for our defense. Davis Mills, 19 to 33, 169 yards, 5.1 yard average, 2 picks, 5 sacks that lost 42 yards. I thought Davis Mills was overmatched by our defense today. And you and I talked about this offline, but I thought that Davis Mills' system that the Houston Texans runs holds this kid back a great deal. There are moments that you can't fake as a quarterback, and you see Davis Mills stepping up in the pocket, sliding to the left, and flinging the ball down the field to an open receiver. And you're like, oh my gosh, that dude has legit talent, right?
Yep.
Um, or when he gets out of the pocket, he starts running for that touchdown he had. You're like, he can move a little bit,
Yeah.
but he doesn't run the ball. We said this on the pregame podcast. He does not run the ball. at all. The Texans are not doing this man any favors whatsoever. But I thought our defense overmatched him today.
Oh, it was very clear right from the start that our defense was going to have their way with that Texans offense. And you're right. They were overmatched. Davis Mills was overmatched with looking at our secondary and having to deal with that defensive line, because our defensive line, they almost every guy was walking their offensive lineman back into his lap at multiple times throughout the day. And at this point, the Texans have really no offensive weapons at all. Brandon Cooks is still there, but at this point, Brandon Cooks is a shell of his former self. He's not a top receiver in the league. I don't even believe that he's a number 1 or 2 right now. He's playing more like a third or fourth type wide receiver. They have no tight end to speak of, and they do have a legitimately good running back. But again, they've got a bad offensive line. So if you shut down that running back, there's not much left else out there to produce. So yeah, Davis Mills had a hard time. He definitely made some mistakes. He stepped into pressure, I think, a couple of times. Didn't get rid of the ball as fast. I do like Davis Mills. I think, given if he can get some weapons, he can have a very Matt Schaub type of kind of career there. Something that you had mentioned there too. Matt Schaub was a productive quarterback for the Texans for a long time. He had Andre Johnson, good wide receiver, and they won some games there in Houston years ago. So I think he can play. Is he a Hall of Fame guy? Is he a top tier guy? Absolutely not. I think he can be a middle of the road starter for for a while if he gets some weapons. But there was no way he was going to do anything today. It just we were just too good defensively.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you, man. Well said. Looking at their running game, Davis Mills, 5 carries. He was their leading rusher with 10 yards. He did have a touchdown. 2-yard carry was their leading rusher. Damian Pierce, 10 carries, 8 yards, 0.8 yards per carry.
Whew.
This is the leading rookie rusher in the league. He had 0.8 yards per carry. Let me tell you something. This run defense is what changed about this team.
Yes.
This run defense is making every team one-dimensional, and it's making the entire football team better. And that starts with the boys up front and the support from the linebackers. This running defense is what happened to this defense.
Yeah, you're so right on this. Just look at that: 10 carries, 8 yards, 0.8 yards average for an excellent running back. I think he's going to have some big years ahead of him. But that is stuff that you see with some of the top defenses in the league, and that is what the Commanders have right now with their defensive group. They have one of the top defenses in the league. That's hard to do. That's hard to hold a running back who has that type of talent to that type of production, and that takes total buy-in by each player, each guy on the defensive line, each linebacker, like you said. So kind of hats off to the defensive line coach and to JDR. They've got these guys believing in stopping the run and holding their gaps, which is something that last season, the season before, we weren't that good at. Now we are excellent at it, and it's showing here. And that was a great point you made there about making teams one-dimensional. It's so much easier when you can make a team one-dimensional and you know what to do. Now all we have to do is tee off on them in the pass game, or all we have to do is worry about the run game. This was a excellent performance today, because that was the only weapon that the Texans had, and we shut it down.
Yeah, and look, everybody listening, everybody watching, you really need to pay attention to this. You know why it matters that we're good at running the football? Because if you look at the folks at the top of the conference right now, I'm going to read them off, and Brian, you tell me what they do, because these are the folks that you would potentially play in the playoffs as a wild card seed, potentially, right? The Eagles. Brian, what do?
They run the football with everybody.
Yeah. The Minnesota Vikings. What happens?
They run the football. Dalvin Cook, excellent running back.
Seattle Seahawks. How are they winning right now?
They're running the football. Their quarterback's not asked to do a whole lot.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker is eating up there.
Yes.
Dude is a beast. Tampa Bay, they have Tom Brady, but guess what else they do?
They run the football, and they've got another running back that I like, Rachaad White from Arizona State, rookie running back. He's really good.
Yeah, New York Giants. Say it with me. They run the football, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That might be all they do, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
So like the 49ers are ahead of you. Everybody in the NFC that's in that playoff picture, aside from the Cowboys, and the Cowboys even do a decent job running the football with Tony Pollard and then mix it into Ezekiel Elliott.
Yep.
Um, if we can stop the run, we can run with any of those teams, right? It's
Exactly.
the only team that I think would give me any pause. There's two. Minnesota, because they can also throw the football and they
Yep.
have a receiver that's better than everybody else on the planet at
Mhm.
his position. And then you have Tampa Bay because they have all that playoff experience. They still have Tom Brady, and they got two receivers in Evans and Godwin if they're healthy that can beat you. But everybody else in front of that, you shut down the run games of all those other teams, and I'm sorry, but that should be a dub. So this run defense has to stay healthy and be able to keep that up. So when you see them holding Damian Pierce, who I believe had 700 plus yards on the season,
Yes, he
to
did.
8 yards on the ground, are you kidding me? That's
That's impressive. Yeah.
major.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, and it can't be overstated how important stopping the run is and making some of these teams one dimensional. But really, what it does is it kind of brings them down to our level, right? We're not necessarily scoring 30, 40 points a game to keep pace with some of these other teams. So if we can bring them down to our level and make them one dimensional, now we've got a chance. Now they're trying to play our game, and we're really good at that ball control offense. Again, we time of possession today because of the fact that we were playing that ball control offense. We're able to kind of keep the ball for longer periods of time. So if we can stop the run, control the ball on offense, then we make teams play our way, and that works in our favor. That's good for us.
Man, say that again, Brian. I got to hear that. Say it again.
Run the football, stop the run, make them play our game. Hey, that's all we need. That gives us a chance to win every Sunday.
Amen. Amen. Preaching over there on a Sunday too. Woo!
That's it.
Let's jump into the passing game from the receiver perspective. Brandon Cooks. So we talked about this on the pregame podcast, but Brandon Cooks is kind of like in an on again, off again relationship with the
Yeah.
team. He was supposed to be traded. He didn't play a bunch today. Wasn't really impactful. He had 3 catches, 70 yards, 23 yards. Most of those came on that one long pass.
Yep.
Look, he can be a difference maker for them, but their situation between those two parties is not good, and therefore you're not going to get all you can. I thought Nico Collins, 5 catches, 48 yards, wasn't enough of a factor. They have the same issue that we have it with our offensive times. They don't feature anybody in this offense. They just do stuff. Chris Moore, 5 catches, 20 yards. Nobody cares. He had a running backs average on receptions. Like, come on, bro.
Yep.
OJ Howard, who? Like,
Yeah.
please stay in Tampa, bro. Damian Pierce, the running back, 2 catches, 9 yards, 4.5. So, like, there was nothing in this pass game out here
Yep.
today. Cooks almost broke one. But other than that, it was a pretty tame day for them. So kudos to our DBs.
Yeah, and the one that Cooks broke, it was John Bostic who was covering him, and John Bostic, I can guarantee was probably thinking, "Why am I covering this dude?" Like, and so that was really kind of the only reason why he broke that long run after the catch. If Jamin or anybody else had been covering him, I think that was a minimal gain at best. So we did really good job kind of bottling in their receivers and keeping them close. So yeah, they've got some pedestrian receivers at best. Nico Collins, I don't think is any better than a Cam Sims. And you see where Cam Sims is in our wide receiver room. So the fact that he's kind of like the number 1 or number 2 option for them kind of tells you where they're at.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, we got a dub today against a team we should have beaten. And
Right.
look, we haven't always been able to say that. And in past years, we would have made this a game. We didn't do that. It was a dub out the gate. I would take this, honestly. Put it in the win column.
Yes.
We got some things we can get better at, but you got to start by doing what you're supposed to do and taking care of business. And the team did that today. Brian, any final thoughts on this matchup?
The final thoughts are Derek Forrest has 3 INTs on the season, and he continues to show speed, ability, recognition. Again, the ball goes deep. He's right there to try to make a play on it, help out the cornerback. This defense is going to lead the way. The running game is coming into its own. We need to get a little bit smarter in the pass game. We need to be a little bit better at varying some of the formations and plays that we use. But this team is coming around. They are rounding into form, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. It's something, from the start of the season, we've had some bad losses. Now we have some wins, and it was good today to see a good team win.
For sure. Look, we give the D line some love. Jeff Zagonia, you say Zagonia, I don't know what it is, but Jeff Z,
Oh
check it
yeah.
out. Check it out. We got to give our guy Chris Harris, the defensive back coach, some love too.
Yes.
He's got those boys playing too, right?
Yes.
So shout out to Chris Harris, doing a great job there. He's gotten Derek Forrest prepared to play. Cam Curl is prepared every week. Kendall Fuller is playing out of his mind right now. St. Juice playing out of his mind right now. So Chris Harris deserves a lot of love. We love what the defensive staff is doing as a whole. And look, keep it up because this is what's fueling this run that we're on right now. And we want to see it continue. I mean, shoot, we'll figure out the quarterback stuff when we figure it out. But let's see this run continue. Give these fans something to cheer about. If you have not already subscribed, but you watch this podcast on YouTube or you listen to an audio, what are you doing? Fix that mistake right now, like Ron Rivera fixed the mistake with the defensive line by getting rid of that old coach. Improve your life by subscribing to this podcast so you get the drops when they happen, as they happen, because you know you'll want them. Anyway, we appreciate you in every country that you listen to us in. We might visit there one day. You never know. So keep listening. Tell your friends, your homies, your rude boys. I don't know what they say in Jamaica. I'm not Jamaican, but keep us going, and we'll be back with more for our weekly podcast on the upcoming game, hopefully Tuesday night. Until then, have a great week. Enjoy the dub, and we'll see you next time.